All right, good morning, wolves. Well, morning for me. It's about 7:30 Saturday morning. So I don't know what time you're watching this, but it's morning for me. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start lesson number 5 on the digestive system. We're going to be talking about some of the accessory structures. So let's just go ahead and get started. Okay. So the first accessory structure we're going to talk about is the pancreas. And the pancreas is very helpful. This is usually when I will reference the wonderful song by Mr. Haywood Banks called the Pancreas Song. Um, Maybe I'll put a link in the description and let you guys go watch that on your own. But the pancreas is divisible into multiple sections. It has the head, the body, and the tail. So the head of the pancreas is right over on this end. It's kind of tucked in the mesentery along the intestines. So here's what we have. The this cutaway area right here, this is where the pylorus of the stomach would be attached. So the stomach is gone out of this picture. Here's a piece of the liver up here. This is the gallbladder. And so this is the duodenum, or the very first section of the small intestine. So the head of the pancreas is tucked in right here, and it's attached to the duodenum of the intestine, as it says over here. And it's connected to the duodenum via the pancreatic duct, which is also called the duct of Versung. If you go with the German pronunciation, I believe that was discovered, of course, by Dr. Versung. And the accessory duct, the duct of Santorini, clearly discovered by good old Dr. Santorini. So the pancreas, as we're getting ready to find out, the pancreas has a job. The pancreatic islets, or islets of Langerhans, clearly uh, discovered by good old Dr. Langerhans, secrete hormones and a substance called acini that secrete a mixture of fluid and digestive enzymes called pancreatic juice. And one of the key jobs of the pancreas, not only does it aid in breaking down the food, but some of this food, as it just comes out of the stomach, is still going to be fairly acidic. Remember, the stomach has a pH of 2. All of the gastric um, digestive enzymes that are in there, as it comes out of the stomach, the intestine, your small intestine, is designed to do a lot of absorption. So it's not as thick walled and protective as the inside of the stomach. So the pancreas also needs to secrete substances that will help neutralize the acid that may still be remaining in that chyme, and it doesn't irritate the very beginning section, or the duodenum, of your small intestine. And that's the job of the pancreas. All right, let's move on to the liver. So here we have, this is the liver, this guy, this big, large brown organ right here. And so this is the stomach in this area. And here we can see through the stomach. So here's the pancreas as it's tucked in behind the stomach. All right, so stomach's here. And then we'll outline the pancreas right here. So here's the pancreas. If we were able to see through the stomach, we would see the pancreas there. So anyway, here's the liver. The liver is divisible into the left and right lobes, separated by the falciform ligament. So this guy right here is the falciform ligament, and it holds the liver in place, keeps it where it needs to be, so that it just doesn't constantly, with gravity, push down on your other other organs. Um, the is held up by the falciform ligament, and it's associated with the right lobe and caudate and quadrate lobes. So there are multiple, you have the sections of the liver, but you get in there and look at it, there are other lobes to the liver. And the liver is kind of an amazing organ. It not only is there to produce bile that will aid in digestion. It'll be stored here in the gallbladder, but it also, as we know, filters out toxins out of your blood, and it will also help remove old and dying, worn out red blood cells. So, liver does quite a bit for your body. So here are the sections of the liver. You have the right lobe. Again, we are looking at this as if it were in a different human being as we're facing them. So your left is this person's right. So this is the right lobe of the liver. And again, here's the falciform ligament, the gallbladder tucked underneath there. The left lobe is over on this side. And you see it's much smaller. It needs to make room for the stomach. So that's why the right side is much larger than the left. And then we have the small intestine right here. So this, again, is going to be your duodenum as it tucks behind these large blood vessels right here. And hopefully we remember from the cardiovascular system that this is going to be the inferior vena cava, and this will be the abdominal aorta. Now, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at there. In the liver, the hepatic cells called hepatocytes. Remember, anytime we see this prefix at the beginning of the word hepat, that's going to be in reference to the liver. Remember the disease of the liver called hepatitis, right? So anytime you see hepat, it's going to be talking about the liver. The cells of the liver are called hepatocytes. So again, anytime you see cyte, that means cell. So hepato is liver, cyte is cell. So those are liver cells. They produce bile. All right, this is where bile is made. That bile will then be sent and concentrated here in the gallbladder. So here's a question that most people, this is probably one of the most missed questions in the digestive system. Whenever I ask where bile is made, uh, there's a majority of people who will always answer it's made in the gallbladder. That's not the correct response. The liver produces bile, the gallbladder simply stores it. So, as it says here, it will produce bile, the liver will produce bile that is transported by a duct system to the gallbladder for concentration and temporary storage. So, again, liver bile made by the liver stored in the gallbladder. Bile's contribution to digestion is the emulsification of triglycerides. So it helps break down those complex molecules. There is a condition called jaundice, which gives people a yellowish pigment. It is a lot of times when infants are born, they're they are jaundice, and it's a minor issue. It's not that big of a deal. But what happens is it simply means that there is a pigment called bilirubin that is built up in the bloodstream and is the principal pigment of bile. So the liver has produced a lot of bilirubin that's used in the bile, and there's just too much in the system, and it gives that person that yellowish tint. And you can see it a lot of times. It really shows up in the sclera or the white of their eye. If it has a yellowish tint, then they are known to be jaundice. And adults, it can be a warning sign that there's something going wrong in there with the liver. The liver also functions in carbohydrate, fat, and protein metabolism. So it does help with those substances once they have made their way into the bloodstream. It is there for the filtration and removal of drugs and hormones from the blood. It again is responsible for the excretion of bile. It makes the synthesis of, or is the synthesis of bile salts, storage of vitamins and minerals, and it performs phagocytosis, which is the engulfing of foreign bodies or any dead blood cells or anything that's in the bloodstream that needs to be removed, and is helpful in the activation of vitamin D. So we learned from the integumentary system that being in the sunlight helps you synthesize vitamin D. And then once it is synthesized, then the liver is there to help activate it in your bloodstream. Let's go to the gallbladder. All right, and as we just talked about, the gallbladder is there to store the bile that is produced by the liver. I can't say that enough because, again, that's one of the frequently missed questions on the test. So the gallbladder is a sac located in a fossa. Remember, from the skeletal system, a fossa is a smooth depression. So there's an actual depression underneath the liver that the gallbladder is tucked into on the visceral surface of the liver. Visceral meaning the mass of organs. So the liver kind of sits on top of all of the mass of organs in your gut. So it's kind of the top organ of your visceral mass. So the underlying, or what we would call the inferior surface of your liver, is also known as the visceral surface because it faces all those organs. The gallbladder stores and concentrates bile. Again, it does not make it, it simply stores and concentrates bile. Bile is ejected into the common bile duct via the cystic duct. And you can see those are over here. So these ducts collect the bile from the liver. They are stored here in the gallbladder and concentrated, and then they are released down through the common duct there. Okay, that one felt like it went pretty quick. So hopefully I'm not approaching that 15-minute mark that YouTube holds me to. So let's go ahead and get on out of here and call up the camera. All right. So same as always, use the information that you got from this video and go on over to Schoology and find the exit slip for lesson 5 and answer the questions associated with the material from today's stunning lecture. So hope everybody is doing well, and if you have any questions, email me or log on and find me during office hours. We'll talk to you later.